The movement was begun by a scientist who discovered, quite by accident, these signals being sent. Please understand, they are safe as long as they are not discovered.
They want their weapon.
Look out for Charlie.
I want that son of a bitch dead. I want him dead.
Alright, a couple years ago I showed you this photo. And this was a vacant house in my neighborhood where you can see that this Shewanella style algae, whatever you want to call it, I will call it Shewanella, is coming down from above. And what I meant by that is you can tell by the way the patterns are. If you look under the windowsill, both of them, you can see that there is no algae there. And in any other case, the algae would grow across and take it over. But it didn't grow there. It's coming down from above. This is just like spray painting. And to prove this, I'm not sure if people really understood what I meant the last time. So I'm going to show you where I actually took a large piece of cardboard. I made 2 windowsills and then I sprayed down from above. Check it out. Ta-da! Keep going with this from above to really prove my point. And there you go. There is absolutely no way for me to make this any more obvious to anyone than showing you, physically showing you how this fell down and having the patterns be almost identical. Now, here's another spot on this house. When these people left, they put a flat screen TV here that never got thrown out, and it sat here up against the house for a long time. While this stuff was falling down every day, it didn't build up underneath the television. Then when the television finally got moved, it started to fill in a little bit. But since the windowsills are always there, you see that there's no Shewanella underneath. So, what is this stuff? Well, I went and took a sample of it. And I really wanted to get a look at it because it's still everywhere. It is on the north side of every structure in this area for miles. The north side of every structure. Now, let's take a look at this under the microscope. There's a little bit of green, but what's that? Oh, it's a red fiber with clear fibers. And this red fiber seems to have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 sort of pods on it. You can see the red here, the clear here, and the clear here. Alright? Now, it gets even better. Here's a couple metallic flakes. More of the same kind of stuff. Clear fibers, these hair type structures. This Shewanella is comprised of the dust that we find in our houses. Here's another one. You can see a little bit of green here, but metallic, clear fibers, red, clear fibers, red, red. This looks just like the dust. Here's a clearer image of the same shot, and you can see here there's metallic, metallic, clear fibers. Look at this stuff. It is the same thing. We're going to get into that too. I expected to see plant life, like when you take a microscope to moss or something similar. Nothing like it. It's the dust. You can even see the black circles within the clear fiber. So I noticed this stuff a long time ago, and what this is this sort of like black goo that gets seems to get caught and or build up from in between tiles or anywhere on a floor. So like if you have floor tiles, it will start to build there, which is normal. Like a kid could track that in, or you could track that in. You know, it could get tracked in a million different ways, except that you start to realize that this stuff is kind of building up in non-traffic areas and getting larger and larger. Will start to come out from around the cracks like a buildup. It's cruddy, it looks filthy, and when you scrape it off and look at it, it's greasy, has a black hue to it to the naked eye. Here is some of this stuff that I scraped up and then put on a sheet of paper. And to look at it, it really does. It looks like mud or dirt or some kind of grease because it's really sticky. That's the other thing. It's almost like a tar, black goo, whatever you want to call it. But when you put it under the microscope, it is completely different. There's an element to this stuff that the Shewanella isn't comprised of. When you get this black goo underneath the microscope, it's not black at all. It is not black at all. There is a little bit of dirt attached to it, but if you look underneath, this is made up of a translucent blue type grease. If you look underneath everything, and here are your clear fibers, there are red fibers mixed in, there is all kinds of this stuff. It's the same thing. The only difference between this and the stuff falling is it doesn't have the blue goo. See, you can see the blue underneath, holding all of this together. Here's a blue fiber coming out of it, red fibers. And anybody worth their weight in salt would be able to tell you just by looking at these that they are not clothing fibers. Look at these. And there's no human hairs because all these hairs are clear. You can see right through them. There's something that was sticking out the side of it. Look at that. It's still wet. You can see that it's wet. And these are the blue specks that people will find on their skin. They'll find blue specks and red threads, or blue fibers and red fibers, but lots of blue specks. They'll find these specks on their body. That is this stuff. It's not black. And if you go back and look at the photo that I showed you, you would never think that this right here was actually this up close. Red, the blue, the clear fibers. Look at this. Structures growing within it. This is not normal. I guarantee you that if you found what you thought was a black greasy substance in your house, it's actually this blue goo. Look at this. Everything that we've talked about is in the goo. And it builds up. Here are the structures. I've shown you this. I've pulled this off my skin in the past. Remember the French fry type graphene structures? Look at that. It's not black. It is not black. There's nothing black about it. Here I adjusted the brightness and the contrast and then just kind of like up the saturation a little bit to show exactly how blue this stuff is. I did a lot of experiments to see what was going on with this stuff. So what I did was I put some of this dirt, goo, put some on a piece of aluminum foil, and then I put it underneath a torch. And what did it do? We are going to Let's check it out. Goo under a flame and see what happens. A torch, actually. Here we go. You can literally see stuff melting off it quickly. The stuff melting off it. All kinds of stuff turned into liquid and then left that. Parts of this melt very, very fast. Oh, there's stuff melting off it. Here we go. You can watch it. Cover up the foil right there. Like a wax. It melts just like a wax. Because I decided to hit it with just short bursts of heat. 1 second. 1 second. 1 second. So I was hitting it in modulated pulses of heat. This is a piece before I hit it with the modulated heat. I wanted to document it. And this is actually a video. You can actually hear the interference hitting my mic when I was doing it. Listen. But it's I called it goo before heat. And you can see that it's just, it looks like the other stuff, just dirt and hair, like something out of Ren and Stimpy, right? This is what happened. When I hit it with pulses of heat, it grew like popcorn. And you can see the fibers on this coming off the top of it. I was hitting it with pulses of heat. Look at that. So, there's your goo. It just looks like dirt. And then this stuff just started growing off of it. So what I need to start doing is doing experiments with it, like prolonged temperatures of 100 degrees or human body temperature, and see what happens. I decided to go out and take a soil sample of what the ants are digging up. This is what was in the soil. The same blue and red shit that shouldn't be there. Here's a magnified image of soil from Google. Do you see red and blue in there? Absolutely not. After I torched the hell out of this stuff, this is what was left after it took immense heat from that torch. Look at those bloody looking hairs. It's really hard to pause on this and get it in focus, but you can see just what's going on. Fibers are still there. It took a lot of heat and a lot of stuff melted out of it. Now look at that. That looks literally like pus through there. That literally looks like pus. Like an infection. It looks like an infection. Like infected snot. Not to sound sick, but that's what it looks like. Let's go back to that. Through here. This was just a quick run over with the microscope. I wasn't trying to really... There we go. So you can see what's left of this stuff after it got torched. It's disgusting. It is a mess of infection, is what it is. A mess of burned infection. So the Shewanella falling down is partially Shewanella, and it's the dust particles, the clear fibers, the red fibers, the bloody looking fibers with pods, other things. The blue goo, which I think people have referred to in the past as like black grease or black goo, this stuff is blue, and part of this, and I'm not sure which part yet, melts off quickly and easily, and it grows at pulsed intervals of heat. This might be low heat. I need to do more experiments, but I wanted you guys to see this, and I wanted you to see exactly how that stuff was sprayed down from above, and I wanted you to see that this stuff is in fact a translucent blue grease. But that blue part, unless it's growing later on the ground, it doesn't seem to be coming down with this Shewanella stuff. I'm trying to figure this part out. I will let you know as soon as I get further with this. Alright, look out for Charlie.